The game of billiards has been around in one form or another for nearly 500 years. During the 19th century, the game's rules and equipment evolved to basically what they are today. Billiards, also known as pool, is played on a slate tabletop that's usually 8 feet 3.5 inches long and 4 feet 7.5 inches wide. Clients order billiard tables much like they would custom design furniture. They pick the table's style, colors, the type of wood, and its lacquer and stain. The tables come in maple, walnut, mahogany, cherry, and the most popular, oak. A computer-guided machine shapes part of what will be the table's frame. This machine's rotating heads perform several different tasks. A profiling head carves the angle of part of the frame. A routering head creates the table's decorative grooves. And a drilling head makes holes for bolts to fit through. 6 wood components called rails will surround the playing surface. They have diamond-shaped carvings that'll become visual markers for the players. After spraying the rails with glue, a worker inserts 18 metal nuts. They'll be used later to secure the rails to the playing surface. He attaches rubber strips along the sticky rails, which are just over 3 feet long. The rubber will cushion the balls when they hit the sides. The rails then pass through a press twice to ensure the rubber adheres. Next, workers move the rails along this 30-foot-long sanding machine. Rubber wheels gently grip each rail as presses rub sandpaper along the edge and top. They skip the bottom because it'll be covered. They pass the rails through this sander several times to smooth them down. To make sure everything fits, a worker pre-assembles the 4 sides and the middle section of the frame's base. He uses 20 metal bolts and 20 nuts to join them. And he inserts 8 wooden dowels in order to align the table parts correctly. He stamps numbers on the frame sections so they can be reassembled later by pairing the same numbered parts together. Next, a worker hot glues 18 1-inch long mother-of-pearl components called sights. He fits them into the carvings on the rails, which have now been stained to the desired shade. He taps them into place using a hammer and a block made of synthetic resin. This way, he won't damage the rail. A worker then lines the rubber part of the rail with cloth made of wool and nylon. He attaches it with a plastic strip that fits over the cloth and into a groove. He uses a mallet to ensure the cloth is tightly inserted. The worker then staples the cloth to the other side of the rail. A zinc and brass plaque display the table's brand name. After shipping, workers reassemble the table in its new home. Serial numbers ensure the parts belong to the same table. Assembly takes about 2 hours. They match the numbered parts together using up to 50 bolts and 50 nuts. Then they level the table using metal components called leg levelers to adjust the table's height. It's like sticking a matchbook under an uneven table leg. Now comes the really heavy lifting. Workers fit the 3 sections of the table's top, which are made of slate and weigh up to 300 pounds each. Slate won't degrade and it won't budge if you hit it. The workers use 12 screws to attach the slate sections to the frame. They level the sections using wedge-shaped plastic shims between the slate and the frame. Next, a worker melts wax over the cracks between the sections. He uses a scraper to smooth out the playing surface. The remaining holes will later be covered by rails. After the wax dries, they cover the table surface with cloth, which comes in a variety of colors. They cut the cloth in the corners, so there won't be any creases in the lining of the pocket holes. They staple the cloth to wood strips under the slate. A worker pierces the cloth over holes in the slate so he can later attach the rails. The 6 pockets are 6 inches deep and consist of a metal frame covered with a leather lattice. Workers install 18 threaded metal rods underneath the rails. Then they flip the rail assembly and insert the rods through pre-made holes in the tabletop. They use nuts to secure the rods in place. Screws attach the pockets and voila, your table is ready. For prices ranging between $1,500 and $15,000, you have quite a stylish game.